Hello and welcome to a Squadron 42 May monthly report, looking at what Cloud Imperium have been working on for Squadron, as well as a general AI update. I'm sort of going to bundle in here too. So let's start with AI. AI content completed the first part of security, tourist and tour guide behaviors, polishing animations from recent mocap sessions and adjusting the related behaviors. They implemented the first version of the landing officer, one of the deck crew that will be used in hangars, landing zones and capital ships. The landing officer gives players clear instructions and directions on how to position their ship in relation to the pad for perfect descents. Work continued on hygiene behavior, completing setups for the toilets and shower cubicles and their relative blockout animations. For sleep behaviors, new animations for beds were set up to support the physicalized sheets, and the process of standardizing the proper usage of bed shutters began. They also progressed with the ongoing goal of propagating vendor behaviors to as many shops as possible. They're going to be designing and blocking out the different elements that will make up the various locations and enabling the available kiosks to use the hawker behavior too. Patrol path tech was further developed, while the usable system code was reworked to refresh the usable architecture. Work also progressed on combat behaviors for untrained characters, such as civilians. This involved making sure they react appropriately to combat scenarios and try to have them preserve their lives as best they can, which is affected by what weapons, if any, they have available to them. The team also improved the reaction distance definition that was causing NPCs to react incorrectly to a player's presence when fighting in some situations. Spaceship behaviors related to subcomponent targeting were worked on. The data gathered can be used in flight tasks to perform specific maneuvers, such as allowing a ship to ship strafe attack on a subcomponent on a specific sector of a target ship. Support began for spawn closets, including implementing handling for despawn requests. Currently, the entity will look at a usable in the spawn closet action area and then use it. If that fails, it will move to a random position in the area. One of the tech team's focuses has been navigational links for the nav mesh. This sort of allows Squadron 42 Vandal to jump on and off objects of varying heights, but also can scale to anything needed for environmental traversal by any character type. For EVA, they completed tasks to allow NPCs to systemically transition from 0G into a usable and vice versa. Animation! The animation team continued to develop animations for Vandal combat, the landing officer, 0G traversal, crouched hurt locomotion, male and female mess hall sets, the positioning of blending locomotion sets, medpen assets, and the firing range. Mocap was solved for perception reaction data for civilians and spec ops, and usables were worked out for enemies in combat zones. The facial team worked on animations for the effort set and security pilots too. Some character art, so they began R&D and modelling for the Screaming Galsons. A wide variety of characters are needed for this faction, so the team are looking into new modular systems to support mixing armour parts in interesting and performant ways. Trejo's hair and uniform progressed well, and teams there progressed to start development on the Assidio Comore characters. Audio. The audio team focused on Chapter 4A, creating music content to help drive the narrative. This includes identifying key areas for the new cinematic cues and defining and tuning music logic to support gameplay. Gameplay features. The feature team implemented the ability to have render-to-texture video calls between two NPC characters, which was required for several cinematic sequences, as previously only the player was able to receive them. They also completed the initial implementation of player formation flying, using a hologram to show the desired position, and use automated flying to assist if requested. Gameplay story. The gameplay story team implemented all the female player story, facial, and audio recorded so far, with nearly 140 lines set up, synchronized, incorporated, exported, and tested. Extra variations and polishing animations were created to further improve the player experience. They were also able to use new eating and drinking animations to improve gameplay story scenes in the mess hall. They used new motion capture to create a bespoke transition between scenes in the medbay, allowing character to move naturally and maintain the believability of that area. Narrative supported several other teams by scripting dialogue for various uses, including gameplay hints, environmental storytelling, and filling in long sort of stretches of travel with character exchanges. They continued support for audio and gameplay teams with placeholder recordings for scenes throughout the campaign. In another production initiative,